There they are. Hello, my friends.
Hello, Rudy.
Hi, Rudy.
Holy Thursday. Happy Holy Thursday and happy Easter.
And the same to you.
And blessed Good Friday. A good time to talk to you. Boy, do you look good. You both look great. So I just want to keep you on briefly and ask you, what do you think with Pam Bondi? Surprised, not surprised? And who gets it?
Well, we were not surprised at all
I
by
didn't think so.
her being fired. She really was a very, very unsophisticated, not ready for prime time attorney general. She never should have been named attorney general. Her performance in office, regrettably for President Trump, proved it. She is singularly responsible for the delay in investigations and indictments into the lawfare against Donald Trump that's being run out of the Florida U.S. Attorney's Office in Miami and Fort Pierce. She interfered in that investigation, imposed restrictions on it. One of them, for example, was me. I was asked by the U.S. Attorney in Miami to become the chief of the civil rights section in that office and run the investigation into lawfare. The night I was to be sworn in, after passing my background check, Pam Bondi canceled my appointment and said she didn't want someone with a name running the investigation. She is an incompetent. She is singularly responsible for the delay in those cases being brought. If she had not done that, we would have had indictments brought in the last 2 months. And she is responsible for it. And that, by the way, the president's conversation with her yesterday, coming back from the Supreme Court, was not pleasant. We are told by people who were briefed on it and by other meetings that she held that day that the president was ripping mad about the fact that there was no progress on the lawfare investigation in Miami. And she is the single person responsible for the screw up in Miami.
Now, what happened with Martin?
Well, what happened with Ed was...
did they fire him? They just fired him, didn't they?
No, what they did was
they almost arrested him or something.
Yeah, they moved him around and gave him a job and allowed him to sort of gracefully exit. I have no idea where Ed is now. They say he's still the pardon attorney, but I've been unable to communicate with him. I have no idea where he is.
I have too, and I used to talk to him, on and off, because he would have questions about what went on. Right. And last week or so, since I heard that he was ceremoniously thrown out of his office, I've been calling him to try to find out. So now, what do you think? What happens now? If Todd Blanche takes over, I assume you think there'll be no difference, right?
No, we don't really think that, Rudy.
No.
You think there'd be a difference?
Todd's good.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. All right, because people tell me that they were together.
Yeah, you have to know. Pam has stifled people. She has sat on hey, Rudy, you should be interested in Round River. You and I were targeted under Round River, which is classified. She sat on that declassification. I'm still waiting. I've got a FOIA case waiting for that to be declassified. And Pam didn't want to move on a whole thousands of documents. So she told people like Todd not to move on matters like that. She really hampered investigations and getting out facts. It was really terrible how she ran the department.
She was a queen bee, and she screwed the entire she screwed President Trump to a fare thee well.
Now, what was a motive?
No. She is dumb as a post.
But Rudy, you know well that being state attorney general doesn't mean you know diddly squat about federal law. And she didn't know anything about federal law. In fact, I talked to a former U.S. attorney for Florida who said when we did investigations and she was AG, we never asked her anything because she didn't know squat about federal law. For example, she never should have indicted Comey in Virginia for a false statement, right? Look, one crime in a place where his relatives worked. Are you kidding?
Well, they also, that was a horrible thing because they then put who was the lawyer? They picked a lawyer and
Lindsey Halligan. Lindsay
They gave her
Halligan.
no help. They gave her no help.
Yeah, they actually
But-
abandoned
But
Lindsay
that
Halligan.
should have been part of a conspiracy.
They didn't send anybody from the. I mean, if when that would happen in the Justice Department when we were there, and it was a district that didn't have the experience to handle the case, you'd get people from the Justice Department that would come in and help you.
You do. I used to do that when I was the head of the.
Well, nobody did.
But
You're on your own. You're on your own.
No.
You get hired, get the indictment tomorrow. You're on your own.
Yeah,
no, but that should have been part of a conspiracy in Fort Pierce, Florida, which she did not have the sophistication to understand.
Yeah.
I never, as Attorney General, would have allowed the one count against Comey in Virginia. I would have saved it for the vast conspiracy.
you do the same
in
thing
Fort
with
Pierce.
you do the same thing with Letitia James. You don't charge her in Virginia on mortgage fraud. You include her on a massive conspiracy count down in Miami with a bunch of people beginning in 2017, including Barack Obama, Joe Biden, John Brennan, James Clapper,
You're absolutely right.
and
The whole
Susan
group.
Rice. Because remember, Susan Rice on Inauguration Day 2017 writes a memo to herself recounting a meeting that happened in early January where all of those people were in the Oval Office discussing a counterintelligence investigation against Donald Trump and you and everybody else. And Obama said, do it by the book, according to Susan Rice's memo.
Right.
Now, why in the name of God do you write that memo for the record? And the answer is she was trying to cover their ass. Instead, it's a confession. And if you're the Attorney General of the United States, you know what you say? Okay, everybody down in Florida, take this memo, start with this, put Obama in the grand jury, and let's have a fight over his testimony.
And word we got was that, oh no, we don't want to put Obama in. We don't want to subpoena.
She was frightened of her own shadow, but she wanted to control everything.
Well, will Todd be the choice?
No, I don't think so. The president likes him and wants him to be there as deputy. The president, unlike Pam Bondi, wants a name. And I think, Lee Zeldin may be okay, but he doesn't have any experience as a federal prosecutor.
That he doesn't. You're right.
He's
I actually thought he was an assistant U.S. attorney, but he wasn't.
He was a local. He was a JAG officer. But the problem is they have to have somebody who knows the department code,
100%.
is willing to kill and fire people and order things.
You're right.
I have a candidate, Janine Pirro.
Well, even we're going to come back to this, next week if you can. And the
Sure.
week, but the Justice Department uniquely needs someone who understands the ins and outs of the Justice Department.
Yes.
Otherwise, particularly the current Justice Department, even worse than when we were first there, will spin you around. You will not know where you're going. So good. I'm good to know that, and thank you very, very much. God bless you.
Delighted.
Have a great holiday.
Happy
We'll be in
Easter.
touch.
Happy
See you,
Easter.
Maria.
Buona Pasqua. Buona Pasqua.
Now, I don't know if you can make two people the attorney general. But they should put both of them in charge. It would be unbelievable, him and her.
I agree with that, and we didn't get a chance to bring it up. She has Michigan ties.
Oh, she has. He was the
She's from
U.S.
Detroit, or
attorney.
she went to
He was the
law
U.S.
school in
attorney
Detroit.
in the district, and she was an assistant attorney general. Joe is also the guy. When we brought the civil case against the Teamsters, he was appointed as the sort of the overseer of the Teamsters Union, and he spent a number of years. And the reason why the Teamsters Union, and to some extent even Las Vegas, is separated from the mob, is the work that he did.
Well, maybe they know where Jimmy Hoffa is buried.
I never asked him. If anybody knows, Joe would know where Jimmy Hoffa is buried. We're going to take a short break.